My name's Rodney Branham, but everybody just calls me Chico. I started mining when I was 16 years old. I was just a boy, or a baby, most people would say. Mining, it's not a job, it's our life. I mean, that's in eastern Kentucky, this is what we've got. This is all we've got. There is nothing else. I wish there was something else. 6 days a week, that's what we work. Mining's hard. It's hard on the body, it's hard on your soul.
It's 6:15. The sun rises over the Appalachian Mountains. It's the start of a new day for Chico. He works on this small mining site, located in one of the oldest mining areas in the world. He's 47 years old. His father, his grandfather, his great-grandfather were miners. He's a proud inheritor of America's long history of coal.
Hey guys, how you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
It's a ritual. Morning coffee is shared with colleagues while the boss gives instructions.
Well, what I'm thinking of what we need to do is just go ahead and dig on through there. Okay, and then we'll just take a dozers and recut a road down and flatten it out just at coal level.
Right.
Take that take that flat out right there.
Like you had it for that bottom that time?
Yes.
Yeah. 10-4.
I'll go down.
Been tough on me, Val.
That was Chico. Don't even think that was me.
Exploiting this mine only requires around 10 workers. Year after year, coal mining has become more mechanized and jobs are rare.
I'm going to be running the grader. I've got to go dress up the road so we can drive on them. Just whatever has to be done, I do it every day. It's what's required. I think it does a lot for the country here, this coal does. A lot of people disagree, but now, I don't. I mean, they use it to make steel, they use it to power. It's just got numerous uses. It does.
In the United States, coal still provides half the country's electricity. The whole world, including France, values Appalachian coal for its high quality. But it's a more expensive coal because it has to be extracted from huge mountains. To keep up with the market, industries use a unique extraction process, dynamiting the top of the mountains, just as these images shot in Kentucky show. The method was invented in the 60s and has rapidly become the norm.
Coal mining's not such a bad business if you do it right, such as what we are here.
In this mine, the owner has developed innovative ways to limit damage caused by the explosions, but it remains an exception. This extraction technique is a delicate topic in Kentucky. Coal industry is the only industry in the area. It is much criticized, but pays a lot. Chico earns almost $4,000 a month.
Well, I was 16 years old. I was working for $3.15 an hour, and I had an opportunity to make $16 an hour in the coal business, working for my uncle at A&G Mining. And I jumped at that opportunity and took it. Raised 5 children in the coal business. If it weren't for this and this job here, it's untelling. I guess I'd be a beggar on the street.
That mountaintop removal hasn't received a lot of international media attention because it's not a glamorous issue. You know, it's something that affects the lives of rural, poor people. And in many ways, Coal has enabled some Appalachian families to rise out of poverty and to enter the middle class. There is an emotional tie there that's really hard to sever.
The coal industry is extremely powerful, but it's facing a growing lobby.
Currently 10 miles to the south, to be landing runway 32, one aboard.
Hazard window forward traffic, Skylane 735, Mike Tango, taxiing 32.
From the trail, the largest in the United States,
And you're in the air.
350 million tons of coal are extracted every year.
Every year there's a little bit less mountain and a little bit more wasteland. So it's a big business for them. It's a big money maker. And they just go down the mountain, seam of coal by seam of coal by seam of coal, until it's flat. Truth is that before they mine, this is one of the most biodiverse ecosystems on Earth. And I would be very much in favor of the law against it, because there are a lot of other ways to make electricity that are much more land and earth friendly.
Among the damage, the most threatening to Susan is water pollution.
Down here you can see water that's a weird color. And that's not the natural color of water in Kentucky. But what happens is all of the blasted mountain leaves a lot of surface area so that when rainwater trickles through it, it leaches out all kinds of heavy metals. So you get cobalt and copper and cadmium and lead in the groundwater here. That's one of the main things that's a problem with mountaintop removal mining.
In the Appalachians, people live at the foot of the mountains. In small rural communities, very dependent on their environment and weakened by the coal industry. Rick Hanshoe compares it to a cancer that has attacked his valley. Convinced that the water around his house had been contaminated with heavy metals from the surrounding mines, he had it analysed. The results are alarming.
The water running in here is over the limit in arsenic, beryllium, high levels of manganese, aluminum. The pH is really low here, it's acid, and the conductivity is around 5,000 microsiemens. Anything above 500 microsiemens is considered so polluted it cannot be repaired. This used to have fish in it. It used to have crawdads. It used to have salamanders, frogs. They're all dead. It's going into our ground. We're raising it in our vegetables. We're eating poison vegetables. This place just can't sustain life anymore. It's killed the whole food chain.
The government refused to give the results to Rick. He got them through his connections. The mine hasn't been investigated. But he had to leave his house as an emergency in order to protect his and his family's health. A retired police officer, he now lives at his brother's, 4 hours away. He has left behind all his life savings.
You know, it's not easy to leave your home. My dad's here, my nephews, this is my home, but I've had to leave. I've been ran out by Mountaintop removal. I sleep here. I did sleep here in this room, and my daughter slept here in this room, right on top of this poison water. This is acid that's coming from the strip mine. That's metal. Eating hose coming up under the trailer, causing health problems. My system, my body was in shock. I was so poisoned, that's what started causing my nails to get this away. The poison tries to get out of your body. It goes to the longest points on your body trying to get out of. That's why it's on the longest fingers of my hand. 2 months ago, I thought I was maybe going to lose my fingers. Thank goodness they're looking better, but it makes me angry, makes me sad. Why the government would allow this to happen to people. You know, fighting the coal company is one thing, but when you have to fight your government that's supposed to be protecting you is David and Goliath. You're fighting people that's got billions of dollars, and I've got hundreds of dollars.
In Appalachia, you know, when you stand up and you go against that power structure that's in place, it's almost as if you're betraying your culture, your family, your ancestors. You can be viewed with suspicion and derision from people in the community. You can be labeled crazy, radical, liberal, an environmentalist, you know, which has become almost a dirty word.
Almost a civil war atmosphere. After years of impunity, top mountain removal is in Washington's eye. To get an extraction license has become difficult and costly. The success of schist gas, encouraged by Barack Obama, has rivaled coal. So instead of investing in clean but less profitable methods, companies quit coal to invest elsewhere. In Lynch, a mining town built at the beginning of the last century, time is standing still. These last 12 months, 3,000 miners were fired in the area. The local economy is disintegrating. This small shop is resisting, in the middle of an abandoned landscape. The owner himself is a former miner, now disabled. He fiercely defends coal.
If it don't pick back up, I don't know how much longer we can stay open. I mean, it just... We get coal severance tax from the mines. And when the mines go down, the coal severance tax drops, so the whole county suffers. And then they give so much to each city when they get that, and that's what we survive on, is the coal severance tax. It's our heritage. That's what we've always did. What have we got? The majority of the people are for coal, but you only have just a few people that are against it. Not a whole lot, but they fight it really hard. But we fight just as hard to keep it. So, and I'll keep on fighting as long as I can.
Fighting against an industry that lets people idle after years of profits. In Lynch, 20% of the population is now unemployed. In this very religious part of the United States, church is a real support. In this church, all parishioners know someone who's lost his job. Like Frank, suddenly dismissed right before Christmas.
He is alive. He's alive and live forevermore.
A day he and his coalmates will never forget.
Sort of takes a little bit of your pride.
Your pride's gone.
You know, and that means a whole lot to a man. Right?
Yeah, it does.
Or anybody, really.
Pride. It just makes you feel about that big. Because people says, are you working? You gotta say no.
Yeah.
You put your head down when you say no.
Yeah.
Because you ain't used to that. People's used to seeing you go to work, come in dirty. Your life or your livelihood is just took from you just by a folder. Somebody handing you a folder and saying, hey, you know, that's it for you. You know, sorry, you have no job no more. Your insurance, everything, your payday, everything's gone.
Frank owns one of these houses, built by coal companies, showing the glorious years of the coal industry. He lives off savings and gets around $1,300 in unemployment benefit a month for 6 months. It's not much for him and the 2 sons he's been raising on his own for 16 years.
So this should go on the Bumford Glaciers too.
I think it's a perfect club.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think with CC being as big as he is.
I can survive right now, but it won't take very long before I start sinking.
Very proud. He would break his back every day just to keep going and make money just to feed us and take care of us. I know it's been hard on him. So yeah, very proud of him.
There's got to be rules and regulations. Because if you didn't, I'll say the earth properties would be destroyed, so it's got to be put back. Yeah, but how come for all these years that we've been allowed to do it and everything's been, good so far, but then, in a year or so, couple of years or so, they want to keep adding all these extra laws and rules and regulations, and it's just after a while, the people that's laid off gets aggravated at the companies, but when you sit back and look at it, the companies gets aggravated at the people that's putting these laws and regulations in, when it's just like nitpicking.
It's different. A lot of people don't do as much stuff as they used to do. Like we can't go a lot of places like we used to because the money's hard, I guess. It's different. For a lot of families, I guess, it's hard.
Because you've got 4,000 or so people looking for the same jobs, and people around here that are 40 and 50 years old taking jobs that college students need for gas and to pay for school. It's just, around here, there's nothing.
Some neighbours have already left, trying to build a new life elsewhere. Frank still thinks a recovery is possible. He remains attached to the city and to the mine, where he spent half his lifetime. Years of work remain vivid in his mind and body.
I've had shots put in my back, and I've had shots put in my knees, and I've had this hand here broke and shattered. I've had 6 screws put in it, and it was wired together. I've had this hand here broke twice, and it's just, just takes a toll on your whole body. But I want to work. Need to work. I need to work.
Despite all the signs, local authorities hold on to coal and its controversial methods.
See this petition here?
Keith Hall is the senator, head of Kentucky Energy Commission.
Transformer, check out new switches, belt starter box for Alliance.
Right. Oh, there'll be fans on this.
He is also an influential industrialist, the owner of several mines, and a subcontracting company for the coal industry.
Okay, you're fabricating them.
And it'll be a larger...
This mix of activities is common in the area. Willing to defend coal at any price, he filed a complaint against the Environment Protection Agency.
Why did we sue them? Because we think we've been picked on. We've been specified because we were not Obama people. We didn't vote for Obama. We voted for Hillary, proudly. I'm a Democrat. And we are very broad, Democrat. We have the liberal left. We have the conservative right. But in Kentucky, we're pretty conservative. We're pro-family, pro-faith, pro-gun, pro-10 commandments. We're just good old coal miners. I'm 4th generation coal miner. We're very conservative. We're not liberal. We don't believe in, crazy tree hugger policies. And here's what we think. We think, hey, laissez-faire. Let us be. Leave us alone. Let us run our own condos and let us run our own government. In West Kentucky, they're beginning to ship international. They're booming. There's more coal now mined in West Kentucky than East Kentucky. First time in history. First time ever. And they're doing it international.
The industry still makes profits. Companies leave the Appalachians, but invest elsewhere. in Illinois, neighbor state to Kentucky. In this mine in Illinois, coal extraction is underground, in galleries deep beneath the rocks. It runs at full capacity. 300 workers take turns, night and day. It's the new coal El Dorado in the west of the United States. Here, methods employed are more respectful of the environment, but above all, they're cheaper and more profitable.
Our costs are just exponentially lower than what they can do in Central Appalachia, mostly because the conditions are more difficult for them to mine. As their reserves that they have left are not most easily mined coal. We have fairly good reserves left where, we mine underground, we have a 6.5-foot seam, we'll get 70% of our coal out of that. If they mine a 6.5, 7-foot seam, they may only get 35% of that coal. This is our clean coal pile. This coal is ready to be shipped to our different customers. Over here we have our wash plant. This is where we wash the coal and create a more purified product for our customers.
With a high proportion of sulfur, this coal was long considered too dirty, snubbed by the consumers. Thanks to technological improvement, this coal is back on international markets, where American coal is booming again. Production has grown by 20% since August 2012. The mine attracts young workers again, like Justin.
All right. Go do some work, guys.
Hey, glad you got to see me.
He's only 34 and supervises a team of 40 people.
It disappeared for a few years. Pretty much when I was in high school, mining went away, so I went to school for environmental science and worked in that for a few years. And in that process, mining came back, and it looked to be a pretty good profession. It looked like it was going to be around, hopefully, for a while again, so that's why I jumped back in it. Occasionally, there are accidents. Anytime you go on that mine, anything could happen. You could get in a bad top, it could fall. But we've got pretty good conditions here, good limestone, rock, so that helps out a lot.
Mining remains a dangerous activity, crumbling, toxic gases and dusts. But for these young people, it is often the only way to work in a formerly ruined area.
There was a pretty big generational gap in there for a few years. It's pretty prevalent at this mine. There's guys in their 50s, even in their early 60s, and there's not many employees in their 40s. And then you get down to guys my age. Pretty well all the mines in the area shut down. Now the technology has came around to burn our coal cleanly, and the coal mines in this area are making a pretty strong comeback.
In France, coal is 30% cheaper than natural gas, cheaper than oil. In 5 to 10 years, coal may be the world's leading energy resource again. Here, an uninterrupted flow of 600 trucks take turns from morning to night. They tip their load onto these barges, ready to sail down the Mississippi.
The Mississippi River is a key to us for transportation because you can move products more cost effectively on the river because you don't have as much fuel needed to transport them down with the current, and you can transport more volumes than you can, say, in a rail car or truck. The other benefit that we have on the Mississippi River is access to New Orleans, which is a major export terminal area to move coal into the export market, into European and Asian markets.
We can go back.
But the flood of this very polluting energy worries the ecologists. Despite technological progress, coal remains a very controversial source of electricity because of its high emission of carbon dioxide. The debate doesn't worry this manager.
Why would you turn a blind eye on cheap energy for another source? I think it's pretty naive and arrogant for man to feel that they can change the Earth's atmosphere that much. In fact, you know, I think it's insane to believe that we have a static climate. Our climate is always changing. Call it a denier or whatever. I don't believe that CO2 is causing us problems in our world.
The coal industry, in politics especially, will get out there and say, you know, we support clean coal. Clean coal is a reality, but you know, most people who look at the issue know independently know that clean coal is a myth. We're all breathing the same air, and so it's the effects of coal are something that we're all going to have to live with.
In France, coal represents only 3% of our electricity, but it's growing, plus 35% in 2012, despite all the talk of renewable energy. In a country in such a crisis, where nuclear power is sometimes criticised, its low cost remains a solid argument. An argument that could weigh in on the debate about tomorrow's energy.